What's going on, guys? My name is Caleb, and today I'm going to show you guys how to combine multiple images in Photoshop CC. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we want to do is hit Command O or Control O, or we can go up to the File menu and then click on Open. Once we do that, we need to load in our images. I'm going to load in 3 images, the wood, the couple, and Justin. Alright. So once we have those 3 images loaded up in Photoshop, we can go ahead and start manipulating them. So this is the one with Justin, him and Selena. Then we have some random couple making out, and then we have the photo of the woods. Now these images can be whatever you like. Now what we need to do is, first things first, I always like to make a duplicate of my layer. And to do this, you're just going to hold down on the layer, and you want to drop it over this new layer tab right down here. This is the new layer tab if you hover over it. But we can also just hit Command J or Control J and have a new layer. That way, if we do anything to our top layer that we don't want to be done, we can just always resort back to this background layer and have everything back to normal. So I'm just going to hide the background layer by clicking the eye right here. As you can see, you can hide it and unhide it. And make sure that you're selected on your first layer, or layer 1. And what we want to do is we're going to come up here and use the quick selection tool. Now this is really good for making quick selections, and pretty much whatever object or person or whatever you want to do to grab them out of the image to connect it with the other image, just kind of hold down your mouse and then just hover over all the area that you want to be cut out. And we're going to get his jacket right here. And we got to get his cool ass chain and everything because he's a pimp. But as you see here, on our quick selection, we have this guy in the background. We have this brown shirt. And what I want to do is I'm just going to zoom in here, and we want to hold the Alt key. And now you'll see, if we look at our cursor, it goes from a plus to a minus, if you see that. So make sure you're holding down the Alt, or you can come up here to the top right here. And instead of having the plus, you can click on the minus as well. And now what we're going to do, whatever we don't want in our image, we're just going to select that as well. So as you can see, it's already cutting it out. Now we're getting somewhat of his head. And we need to get this out. And we need to get the top over here out. Now this could take some time. And just make sure you have a decent, it doesn't have to be perfect. And to add back to the layer, you can either come back up here to the top and click on the plus again, or you can hold down the shift key. So whichever one's easier for you. As you see, we keep getting just a little bit. There we go. Now we see we have this brown stuff in here, so I'm going to hold down the Alt key again and just get this a little bit tighter to his jacket, the selection. And we're going to come up here and just kind of go around your whole image and make sure that you have what you want selected. As you see, we just got a lot of selected, so I'm just going to hit Command Z or Control Z, and you guys could also just go up here to File, or actually Edit, and then take a step backwards, or just do a redo, or shortcut Command Z. So I'm just trying to select this a little bit more, but we keep getting it, so I'm just going to hold down the Alt key again, and maybe that will clean it up for us a little bit better. Alright, let's see what we're getting here. A little bit better. And let's add this right here. Okay, so everything's looking pretty good. Now what we want to do is I'm going to zoom out here right quick. So we have our selection. Now what we'd like to do is we're going to go to refine our edge. And once we do that, come over here to our view in our view mode, and we want to do this on just layers. This way we're only seeing what we want, but we can change it. That way we're matching ants, or we can do an overlay on black. But I like to see mine on a transparent background. Okay? So if you have a lot of hair, I'll show you guys this in the next one, but you can take your smart radius and come up here in the top and kind of just get a little bit of this hair a little bit more refined. But if we look at the image, it's kind of choppy right here. So what we want to do is go to our just edge, and I'm just going to bump this up to like 2, and as you can see, we kind of, if I zoom in here, you can start to see kind of before it was pixelated, and now when we add that smooth, it kind of smooths things out. And I'm also going to put a little bit of a feather. The more you feather your image, if we were to put this all the way up, you'll see that he starts to fade, and that's a little too much there, but as you can see now, he's starting to fade. So Don't put it all the way up to 100. Obviously, you want to have it like less than 1 or, within the decimals like this. I'm just going to do like 0.5. That looks real good. And then down here on our output box, we want to put it to a new layer. And go ahead and click OK. And pretty much what this has done, if we zoom back out and we look over in our Layers tab, what we have now is 3 different layers. We have our very first background image that we started with, which I'm going to unhide that, or hide that. And then we have our original layer of just the one that we duplicated. And then we have our layer that's overlaying on top of just what our selection is that we just cut out. So right now we just have Justin. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and go to our next image. So now I have a couple. So this is whenever you can add multiple images together like this, or you can just drag and drop into another one. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So what I'm going to do here is Command J once again. As you look in our layers, we now have a duplicate, or you can just, like I said, drag and drop onto the New Layers tab and make a new layer. I'm just going to delete that. Now, once again, make sure you're over here in your quick selection tool, or hotkey shortcut is going to be W, and just start selecting your second image or whatever you want to select. And after we do that, I say that looks pretty good, but if we look a little bit closer, let me zoom in here so you guys can see. We kind of got the hand right here, so once again, we're going to deselect this by holding down the Alt, or once again, we come up here and we can click the deselected brush. And if we look up here, we kind of see how his hair, we're not getting a real good selection of that, but we can fix that up. And we also need to get this little bit of his forehead right there. Okay, so now once again, we can come up here and refine our edge. But this time we're going to click on the Smart Radius. And whenever we hover over, we should now have a brush. And we can change our brush size by putting this up. As you can see, this is going to be a really large brush. That's actually too big. This is a big brush. Or we can shrink it down to a little bit smaller, like so. And make sure that we are on layers, like so. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here and just kind of select around the areas of the hair. And what this is doing, this is going to refine the edge a little bit better and get out some of the white space. Even though you can't really see anything at the moment, if we go over here on overlay, we can start to see how it's cutting it out. And if you look at his hair, you see where his hair is and you see some white in the back. And the more we select, the more white that's going out. So let's select a little bit better. As you can see, this is getting a little bit better each time we do this. And that's starting to look really, really good. So once again, I'm going to just add a little bit of a smoothness, and I'm just going to feather it just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Oh, but I forgot something. We got to output to a new layer. Okay, so now that we have this set to a new layer, let's go ahead and click OK. And now we have this new layer of just this dude chilling, making out with no one. So now what we want to do is take our image, or really we can go back to our first image, and we can take our image of Justin. And what I'm doing here is making sure that you're on the select tool, which is the very first tool way up here, or the move tool. And what we're going to do is make sure that we're on our layer that we just cut out. For this example, I'm on layer 1 copy, and this is my layer of Justin. So I'm just going to hold him, and I'm going to drag him over here to this new tab. And whenever you hover over the tab, it's going to go ahead and flip your canvas to the new canvas. And now what we got is 2 people, like so. And that looks pretty good. Now it looks like they're making out. So since that looks pretty damn good, what we're going to do now is hold down the Shift key, and I'm just going to select both of these by selecting both the layers over here in our Layers tab. Or if you wanted to, you could just click on one of them, hold down the Shift key, and click on the other layer. That is, if you go up to your auto select up here in your menu bar, and make sure that your auto select is set to layer and not group. But it's probably easier if you just go over here to your layers and select both the layers. So now whenever we grab them with our move tool over here, this is our move tool, make sure you're on the very first one. Now we're moving both of our layers. So now what I want to do is take this, and I'm going to drag this over to my third image that I loaded up. And now, as you can see, it's just some woods. So what we want to do now is go and hit Command T or Control T. And this is going to give us our free transform tool. And now holding down Shift is going to make sure that we don't distort our image, because if we don't hold down Shift, we're just going to distort it however we want. But I'm going to go ahead and undo that. So now that we have shift, now it's going to look a little pixelated when you're moving it. And what you need to do is come up here and click this check mark. And whenever you click the check mark, then everything looks a lot better. So now what I'm going to do is now I have them positioned, and wherever you want to position them is wherever you want. But I'm just going to position them right there. And this does look a little odd, but we'll fix that up in a second. What we need to do now is come down to the crop tool, which is right here, or hitting C. And what I'm going to do is just crop this image to where the head of that, and to like right there, and let's switch over. And since he has no shoulder, we're just going to crop it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then we're going to zoom in. And now what we have two guys making out in the woods. I'm not going to say any names or point any fingers, but I think we all know who that is. So as you can see now, this looks pretty legit. I mean, especially if you're just, obviously this looks kind of stupid because it's Justin Bieber and some random dude making out in the woods, but hey, whatever he does in the woods is his thing, right? So after you have that, you're pretty much done. And what you need to do now is just go up to the file, click save or save as, and then you can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna say two dudes making out in the woods. Okay? And then whenever you go down here, you want to drop down the format, because what it's going to do, it's going to save it as a Photoshop PSD file, which we really don't want that. We want to save it as either a PNG or a JPEG or any kind of other file format that's not going to be a Photoshop file. So once we have it as a PNG and we click save, we can just go ahead and click OK on the PNG options. Now, whenever we go down and we look on our desktop, we can just hit the enter key or the space key, the preview, and now we have our image of these two guys making out. So it's a pretty simple tutorial, guys. If you liked the video, make sure to thumbs it up. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below. Also, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. Alright guys, until next time, you guys have a wonderful day.